Hmm. All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. Or last time I saw, oh, three people now. One person earlier. Um, so Marcus having a good reaction today to the. It's not a Trump trade war stoppage. It's more of a ceasefire, if you will, bit of a gap up situation, which was expected. Also, a little bit of a sell off, which I think is also expected. 2% up for the Nasdaq in one day is pretty aggressive. So I don't expect us to have a huge update, but 2% is already big enough of an update. So we'll see how everything opens. Now, if you look at the top gainers, the pre-market movers, we got 60%, 40, 30 in the teens, which is really healthy, like super healthy. So we'll see if all that can maintain. More importantly, though, we had a follow-through day here a couple of days ago on Wednesday, and I wanted to look at the top IBD 50 stocks to see what they were doing and what they looked like. So number one is Jamar Harder seeing study Beat, which I've never heard of before. Good morning, Eli. Yeah, I've never heard of Beat before, but this is number one on the IBD 50. So they're already extended, nothing to do there. TDD's Trade Desk. VEEV is third. Haha, tracking Beat. I see what you're doing there. Five Below is next, CYBR. Now, CYBR is looking promising on the daily down here. It's not great, but it's okay. Basically, a cup base at this stage of the game. Not much to do here. Team Atlassian. Buy point is up there towards the high. That's pretty self-explanatory. MEDP is an awkward cup with handle base. Yeah, it definitely is floating up. Yeah, it's up 2% off of the trade war news. Like I said earlier, it's not that the trade war is done. It's kind of more of a trade war ceasefire is what was announced, and that's good news, which caused the pop in the markets. The question you have to ask yourself is, how sustainable is it? That's the question. All right, so I'm looking at the IBD 50 here. I want to go through, just kind of see what's working, see what's changed. So with the trade war, Trump and Xi announced they're going to pause the trade war for 90 days to do more negotiations. So it's a trade war pause. Okay, so here's IBD 50. Feeds for feels for bottom impossible. Base building effort for 5 below, 40-week back below. Not going to read through every single one, but I do want to read these little notes at the bottom of the charts here. Back end buy range is Ulta. Yeah, it's had resistance there at 310. That looks pretty good right there. 3-week tight consolidation. Need to look at that. MPW, not MWP. Oh yeah, it's well out of a 3 weeks tight consolidation. Yeah, a little too far. %5 pre-market. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, Nasdaq's up 2 and change, so Trump seriously called Dow 40,000. I mean, he's right, like in time, but if it doesn't happen on this immediate leg, then it doesn't matter. That's a nice chart right there. That's a super nice chart. This MPW. I could not sleep last night. I'm so tired. 8-week base shows handle entry. Illumina building new base. Yep, nothing to do there. Ooh, Service bottom with a base. Or Service now with a double bottom base. You can see it right there, bottom, double bottom. Here's your entry point. In Service now at about 193 or so, 195, 194. Every number but the one that it was. Service now is looking really good. Let's see what else we got. Okay, let's wait for Service now. So a note that I've never seen before: holding gains smartly. I've never heard that before, but that does look like a 4 weeks tight pattern in UBNT. No, I guess it's not. Not a 4 weeks tight pattern. That's still pretty good though in Ubiquity Networks. That tight little flag consolidation is gorgeous. Look at that thing right there. It's up about 10%, resting before the next little move up. Hold your gain dumbly. I think that's what they generally teach. Hold your gain dumbly. Extended. Syneos Health. SYNH. Has 2 entry points, which is an odd one. They usually don't do that. 52.41 entry, and then there's your traditional breakout. So they're noticing this little top right here. They provide phase 1 to phase 4 clinical development services for biopharmaceutical and medical device industries. Not bad. So they're sitting there trying to profit on the medical industry. What up, both feet? Yeah, feeling a little better. Thanks for noticing. Lulu was consolidating. VICI Says consolidating for a flat base entry right there. Looks like they're a REIT, so I'm not sure how aggressive you want to be there. Wow, 184% annual EPS growth is pretty good for a REIT. Doing something. They got huge numbers. Oh, it looks like Bcash chart. That's awesome. So yeah, speaking of oil, I was hoping to see more airline names on here, which I've not yet. I've not seen an airline name on this yet. Flat base on Visa forums. Always a good name. And with the market back in an uptrend, could be a good buy. Fork oil. Didn't they do that with natural gas? They have with natural gas as a fork of oil. Well, no, first they had oil, then they had diesel, then they had gas, then they had natural gas. So they forked oil. I'm going with that and I'm sticking to it. Reclaims 10-week line as right side of base form, CSX. So this would be your entry point right there. So there's an entry point for CSX on a cup with handle base. And actually, I don't mind it at all. Looks pretty nice. Consolidating now above the 50-day moving average. Came back, touched the 200-day, bounced off of it, not consolidating above the 50-day. If it can get above that level, I think that's good to go in CSX. Let's look a little bit deeper. It's the best one so far. So good. EPS, composite ring 91, EPS 90, 16% ROE, which is a little light. $106% EPS growth is good. So CSX not looking bad. I'm going to put it on my list here. Okay, there we go. I do like CSX. Gray TV. The heck is that? I don't know. I don't like it. Goose is in a buy range above a double bottom base. So Goose is buyable here, guys. We looked at Goose a while back. There's your double bottom. There's your entry point right there, and we're within buyable range. Look at those wicks to the downside on the weekly. Little trend line here on Goose. I don't mind Goose at all. Eli said he sees lots of Goose around in New York, so those fashion trends, guys, can be very profitable as they kind of come out of nowhere. This one's had a good run. First stage base, second stage base. Yeah, yeah. So that's really good, and I like the pullback here. We're after earnings. This looks like a healthy little dealio. So, yeah, I'm not mad at Goose whatsoever. We'll see what it gaps up to. Looks like the market's going to open in about 40 seconds, almost to the IBD 50. So, line up Goose. We got Auto Home. Finding resistance, right side of base with a buy point is IT. Extended long base with a buy point is Intel. I like long bases, but not that. Actually, that's not bad. Actually, I don't mind Intel here whatsoever. The question about Intel... Oops, that was loud, sorry. 14% lower. So everything's gapping up because of the gap. That's to be expected. What's up here? Win, Mobo. Here, we've been tracking here for a long time. IQ. Nice gap up to my trend line. We'll see what it does. Whiting Petroleum. Even Whiting Petroleum popping. Auto Home. Bida. Boot. Where's Boot? Boot just dropped. Okay, there it is. Neo, Roku. Gap happens because of Gap. That's right. I'm changing my name to Real-Obvious. I like it. So Roku. I have Netties on my I kind of like it list. I've got Goose on my I kind of like it list. And a little bit of a gap up there. You're going to see gap ups all over the place. Tesla gapping up if I can get to it. Okay, Tesla, nice little gap up there. We'll see what happens. What else is on my I like it list? AMRN, CSX, AMED. AMED's just gangbusters, guys. I mean, it broke out. Stop it. I'm not even clicking anymore. I'm not even doing it. Look at it. Let's see if it does it again. Okay, now it stops. Okay. AMED. Yeah, rocking since I think that's the follow through day. It actually broke out on the follow through day. So that's interesting right there. What's Lily doing? Its own thing down. Oh, come on. Really? Alright, whatever. Just go to Goose. Let's just look at Goose. I hate you. It's down 0.3%. But look at that breakout yesterday with the volume. Okay, you know what? Goodbye. I got to close this down. This is driving me nuts. I gotta restart this program. It's just putting in symbols from, I don't know, who knows. Long time ago. Too long ago. Justin asks, is this the end of the correction? Well, that's kind of what we look like that's why we look for follow-through days, is because follow-through days give us a signal that the bulls are back and the institutions are accumulating again. We had 2 follow-through days. One was here, which failed, and because we had a new low undercutting this. The other one was here. So far, it looks like it worked. I kind of tend to think it's going to maintain. I don't think we're going to rocket back into new highs. Oh, black screen of death. Oh, shoot. Hold on, guys. I'll have to stop my streamer and start it again. All right, I think I'm back. All right. What that early with cryptos? Not sure what you mean by their Cool Frost. Not sure what you're talking about, brother. All right, let's see what we got. So Lilly's down a little bit. VMW, UBNT. So here's the thing about today, kind of taking a bigger picture. Yeah, it does have a bull flag. Looks like it's coming back in to the buy point. Ideally, it doesn't do that. Now, this is a pretty big gap. This is a 2% gap for the NASDAQ. That is huge. Okay, so expect some distribution. Expect some short-term selling. The question is, what happens over the next week? We could consolidate this gap for this whole week. I mean, oh, crypto pings. Yeah, so this is in. It's a volume alert tool. Someone wrote it. I don't know. It's a volume alert tool someone wrote, and it pings volume and stuff. That's all it does. So it's actually in the Power Hour page. It's in the Crypto Power Hour page. If you go to the resources, it's like a volume. It's the volume indicator thing in there. Is a link to it. I thought it was pretty handy. Bob used it a few times. I've used it. Seems like everyone likes it, uses it. So let's go see what's not working today. Solo. TZA, SSR, Fizz, Lilly, which is interesting. They've already got their fill of Lilly, it looks like. Yeah, it's been pointed out a few times, but I figure I'd put a permanent link in the Power Hour page. Saves Charter. So, again, we got... No, it's not that I don't play gaps, Eli. It's a 2% gap on the NASDAQ is huge. I mean, imagine if the trade war ended, we'd be like up 5% if it was just over and everything was announced. We would be up like 5%. It's ridiculous. So, not that I don't play gaps. I don't mind gaps. I was looking at CASA actually the other day. Let's see what CASA is doing. It's up a little bit, 1.35%. Pretty little cup with handle. Just a pretty little cup with handle out of CASA. I know it's at a low, but look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7-week base. You got a little trend line here. We gapped up above it today. I like CASA's chart pattern. It's not the best volume signature I've ever seen, but the chart pattern is awesome. Uptrend. And then off to the races you go. So I do like CASA's looking okay. Not up that much, 1.35%. What's a gap? Can't tell if that's a sarcastic question or a legitimate question. So in crypto, it's really hard to get a gap because it's 24/7 trading. In the stock market, you can actually... The stock market closes and they have this thing called after hours trading. And so there's literally a gap on my chart right here. Real question, cool. Yeah, I was explaining anyways. So, I mean, there's a gap right there. So the definition of a gap is there's no price action in between two levels on the regular chart. Now, this NQ here, this trades 24/7. So these are essentially two sides of the same coin. You have the futures market here, which opened Sunday in the afternoon, and this just opened, what is it, like 8 minutes ago? Hey, what's up, Nighthawk? So what you have is the gap situation here on the Qs, which is 2.2% of no price action. It's just you were here, now you're here. Here's a situation where the inverse happened. It closed here and you opened down here. Nothing you can do about that. The only thing you can do is trade in aftermarket hours, which is not advisable in most cases. So the gap here is only 1%, but because we opened up here on the market, the Qs opened up 2%. Now we're selling off a little bit, which is fine. It's to be expected, profit taking, and all that. So you don't have anything you can do about the gaps right there. So, is it good? Is it bad? It's to be determined. It just kind of depends. Now, A lot of the times gaps suck. Um, Usually caught on the wrong side of them. Occasionally you'll be caught on the right side of a gap. That's always good. Yeah, Eli says, let's say Apple's announces earnings that are very bad and on pre-market, everyone who can start shorts dumps, market will open, create a gap lower. Yeah, so that's why it's not advisable to trade before earnings. Yeah, it's called a gap. I have seen gaps in crypto. They're few and far between, but they do exist. It's just usually in thin spots in the order book is what happens. But in the stock market, so people talk about the stock market's or crypto's manipulated. Actually, the stock market's manipulated. Crypto's not really manipulated that much. Gaps are a form of manipulation. So what happens is there's something called a gap and crap, which is where it gaps up and sells off, and there's a gap and go where it gaps, and in either direction could be up or down, but it continues up. A gap and go is a gap, and then it goes up. That's a gap and go. You get gap and goes in bull markets and gap and craps in bear markets or corrections. That's kind of generally the state of things. Because a large institution with a tremendous amount of money. So here, let me go down to the lower term time frames here. 5 minutes should make it painfully obvious. So I've got some striping on my charts here. The darker color is the normal market hours, and the gray is the pre and post market hours. So this is the line change in the day. This is pre-market. This is post-market to this day. Look at the volume drop off. I mean, it's tremendous. We'll just go to right now, for instance. So here's pre-market. Market opens. Look at the difference in volume. It's going to take a very little bit of money to manipulate the market how you want it. Okay? And so they'll do that. They'll actually manipulate the market after hours. Now, it's less liquid, which is why they actually don't trade as much. But they can, if they can find fills to make their situation work, they will. And then they'll have an inverse reaction on the open. So there's kind of a dichotomy with the gaps. And then at the same time, you've got the first 30 minutes of the market open, which typically have the most reversals in them. So you have a couple of things happening simultaneously. You've got institutions selling on the open, and then everyone buying the reaction. Then throughout the day, stuff happens. Then at the end of the day, institutions buy and sell more. That's kind of the general schedule of the market, if you will. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes things trend throughout the day. But either way, that's a little bit of an explanation on gaps. And Brian had a comment I didn't get a chance to read. Feedback on this. But who gets the trade pre or post market? I saw that on Mad Men last week. Good news after hours, and it kept pumping, but I couldn't sell then to capitalize. So you can only put in orders post market or pre market with a limit order. You can't do a market sell, but you can do a limit sell. And so that's kind of how they curtail the aftermarket action a little bit. is by the limit orders. So but yeah, you can place a post market order. Yeah, you just have to make it a limit order, otherwise they just won't accept it. So like I said a little bit ago, guys, I think I'm gonna have to run here shortly. I gotta take my kid to daycare today. I don't think wife will be able to do it. Um, so we had a big gap up. Look for certain. Hold on a second. All right. Heard a huge noise, so I went to go see if the kids were alive. They're alive. Wynn Resort's here popping up, it looks like. I don't know when I clicked on that, but look at that. That's a nice breakout right there. Wynn Resort's probably going to work out pretty well. Pretty big move. Yeah, up 11%, really rocking to the top there. I don't really mind that at all. EDU, Mining Petroleum, iRobot. Anyway, what I was saying earlier before I get too distracted is that we have a big gap up in the markets. It's perfectly natural that it sells off. People haven't had profits to take in quite some time, so they're taking them off the table. When you think about it, pausing the trade war isn't necessarily the best thing in the world. It's good, but you know, it's not. It doesn't promise anything. There's no sign. There's no ink on any paper. So we'll just kind of have to see how it reacts over the upcoming week. Like I said, we could go side. I mean, if we maintain this gap, I'll be very shocked, to be honest with you. So we'll probably drift down lower into it a little bit. We have quite a bit of price action we can fill in over here. We just have to see how the how we behave over this week in terms of distribution days. We got Wednesday was the follow-through day, indicating some institutional accumulation, and then we have a couple of days after that which are nice and tight, which is what you'd like to see, and then a gap up on Monday today. A bit of an exhaustion gap already, so get ready for some filling here. But if we don't undercut this low here or this red day, I think at least in the next week or two, I think we're going to be good to go in terms of the market stopping correcting. What that means is that Twitter's up. Come on, Twitter, quit jumping on me. What's Twitter doing? Twitter's up 4%. Look at that, coming up to that trend line. Twitter could be interesting. We're going to see certain runs in certain sectors, certain areas. Not going to be a vast, broad market rally like we saw in the bull market that we just came out of. But we're going to see a more pointed trading environment where you have to make sure you're within good sectors and things of that nature. So, but yeah, so I got to run, guys, unless you guys have any more questions for me immediately. You know what? Somebody had asked me to look at one. Nighthawk was GSM. Sorry about that. Yeah, let me look at GSM for you. Horrible. What is this thing? Ferroglobe. Yeah, so going from 22 to $1.77, not our type of trade here, my friend. Not really what we do here at all, by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to bottom buy this, that's up to you, but you need to have a point where you're going to get out, and your stop loss from 227 to 177 is extraordinarily low. It's like 25%. So, NVIDIA, nice bounce today. Yeah, it looks like a nice bounce. Let's check it out. Yeah, I like the accumulation on NVIDIA that we kind of had. We failed. I think we talked about this on Friday. We failed to go lower here after earnings on elevated volume, and so there's definitely some support right there. It's being supported. No major expectation of a move. However, you're going to have to hold this thing for a while. So you can see the selling we're getting here in the NQ after the big pop, and the Qs as well, 1.6. I don't know where we're going to close today, but it's going to be an interesting day. I do like Goose out. Keep an eye out on Goose. Yeah, Goose looks good here. Looks like we bottomed a little bit. I'm going to look at a couple of trades here when I get back from dropping my kid off. Put the newsletter together. Do the Real Crypto Power Hour. Going to go meet with Robert again. He came back down from Sedona. See how his trip went. Robert's a member of the Real Crypto community. If you guys, Eli knows who he is. Actually, Eli, Robert's flying back through New York. So I don't know if you're friendly with him or not, but I can put a word in if you want to meet up with him for coffee or something like that. Pretty cool. Big white guy with dreadlocks. Nice guy. So, all right, guys. I'll talk to you later. I got to get the kids ready to go. And got my lawn birds. All right, no more comments coming through, questions coming through, but yeah, I definitely would expect a little bit of selling and a pause here, some selling over the next couple of days, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, guys, have a good one.